So I've never been able to really establish any sort of consistency with my running, always because I got hurt. I would always like be feeling good, get in a groove, run for a month or so, and then I'd get hurt. And this is really the first time in pretty much my whole life, I'm 41 years old, that I have not gotten hurt. And I've been running now, mile streaking, since June 20th of last year. I think today was mile streak 231 or something like that. But I've also been building my miles way beyond a mile. I think I'm actually at like almost 5 miles a day for that streak. But I've made some major changes that have kept me healthy in this time. So if you are a runner that is finding yourself getting injured or not being able to catch a groove, listen to some of these things. Maybe not all of them are going to work for you, but maybe you'll be able to incorporate some things to keep you healthy while you're trying to run and really build momentum over time. I'm going to kind of try and go in order of which I discovered these things and like not really like make a list. I think maybe I got like 4 or 5 things to tell you about. First was consistency and not trying to do too much too soon. And that really came from 2 different levels. One, my training volume, and also the intensity at which I was training. With this world of like Strava, KOMs, and races and things like that, I always found myself like diving into a race that was too far. After doing Ironmans in the past and after doing multiple marathons, I always felt like I could just get into a race or I could always train quickly for a race. And what was happening is I was essentially going from like couch to half marathon or couch to marathon or casually like doing athletics into a quick training block, 6 weeks or so. And my volume would be raised up way too quickly and I'd find myself getting overuse injuries. And it wasn't until I started really going at the beginning, like 10% increase a week, which I know can seem awful. Because if you run 10 miles a week, maybe you're going to run 11 miles or even less. If you're running 6 miles a week, you're like, what? I'm going to run 6.6. The answer is frankly yes. Build consistency over time. I found in the last year that I've been doing this mile streak that daily consistency has made me way fitter. Through all the Ironmans and everything, I'm way fitter today than I've ever been because I started consistent and now I just climb up my mileage and my volume very, very slowly. Now, 10% is a general rule of thumb. I've gone 12% sometimes, 13%, but I've really never increased my mileage by over 15%. And like I said, over the course of 230 days, how many weeks is that? You will start to build some mileage. Right now, I'm at about 50 miles per week. And I kind of built there slowly but surely. So volume, build slowly. The other thing was intensity. I always thought that I had to PR my 5K, PR my mile. What were my PRs? I then realized I'm just trying to PR how long I can stay consistent for. So my intensity became very, very low heart rate training. The MAFFETONE method, if you've heard about it. I'm sure you have. If not, you can do a Google or leave down in the comments below. I will do a full video about my whole MAF journey. And essentially, long story short, take 180, subtract your age from it, and that's really the threshold that you should be running at for about 80% of your runs. Especially a guy like me that wants to run ultras. Like I'm going to be running in this zone 2. The same with the 10% rule. When you first go out and run MAF, if you're like me, it was borderline walking at some points. All right. And even still to this day, I am finding myself to need to walk up hills and things like that to keep my MAF down. But I'll tell you this, since June, I have taken a MAF heart rate of 139, 140 at 11:30 pace. And now I can hold 139, 140 for 15, 20 miles at a pace of like 2 minutes faster, 3 minutes faster, almost 9, 10 pace. So I'm starting to see that progress now. But in the beginning, I was like, I'm never going to get fitter by running slower. I'm sure you've heard it. It's cliche. You will get fitter by going slower, but you have to do it over a long period of time to really see success. The next thing I did was invest in a pair of running shoes. Now, if you know I have a main YouTube channel, that's what that's for. It's about personal finance and frugality and living below your means. I wouldn't say I'm a cheapskate, but it's very, very hard for me to find value in something enough to spend money on it. And when I first got into running consistently, I was like, whoa, 130 for shoes, 150 for shoes. I was running in just shoes that I was picking up at Target or whatever, and my feet were getting destroyed. And it wasn't until somebody said, Brad, if you're going to do this consistency, you're going to need not only one pair of shoes, but you're probably going to want to find multiple pairs of shoes. I went to a running shoe store. I got a proper fit. I invested the money, and I haven't looked back. I have a video that reviews my favorite running shoes right now, and I'm going to be trying new shoes out as I'm going into trails and hills hills and things like that, it's now become almost exciting for me to try and research and find new shoes for the different types of running that I'm doing. And I look back and I'm like, I'm so stupid running in cheap shoes that weren't doing anything for my feet, especially at my age. So please, even before consistency, if you are going to start, invest in a nice pair of running shoes. I'm not saying they need to be $200 shoes, but a nice pair of Brooks is going to be $120, $130 here in the States. I think that's a route you should go if you want to avoid some overuse injuries, pains in the arches of your foot, plantar fasciitis, and all these other things that you're hearing. Get yourself a good pair of shoes. Next was a whole recovery protocol that I picked up maybe in October of last year. I started stretching a lot more, not so much like yoga and things like that, but just stretching after runs. That was big. Nutrition, I've always been a pretty clean eater, but as I was losing weight, if you go back and even look at my first couple videos, I've lost about 60 pounds since I started in June. And for a little bit there, I was more concerned with my weight loss than I was like getting proper calories for recovery. And now I've realized, especially with the ultra training going up to 50, 60, 70 miles a week, it's pretty much an eating contest at this point as well as a running contest, where I'm really trying to get in good foods to help me recover. I'm looking at my macros more. Like I said, these scientific things have become like part of the running journey, which is like things I never thought about. But like nutrition was a really, really big deal. Stretching a big deal. I'll say it, I know a lot of people don't love it. I started ice bathing and doing cold plunges. I pretty much cold plunge 5 days a week. I try and get about 20 minutes in. And even if it's like whatever science, like you think it's hocus pocus, the way it makes me feel, I would keep doing it even if I didn't know about the science. So I'm not sore. I don't have little achy things ever since I started cold plunging. So that's really been a really big factor inside the training. And also sleep. Oh my gosh, I never used to sleep. And then I got a good Garmin watch. I've been wearing the Garmin 955. I'll be doing a review on that, up from the Garmin 235. So it was a big jump. But I'm realizing, man, I didn't sleep. And I used to blame it on the kids and stuff, but I was staying up all night scrolling. Right now it's 7:26. I'm like rushing to get this video in because it lights out at 8 p.m. And that's just been really, really good for my recovery. And the last thing is something that I really have trouble talking about, but I guess this could kind of be a small form because nobody's really subscribed yet. But I'll tell you this. I will run 1 mile for every single 1,000 subscriber group that I have. So if I get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, I'll run 100 miles. So consider subscribing if you want to see me punished. But alcohol was a really, really big issue for me. I had a very, very unhealthy relationship with alcohol. I have my entire life. I lost both my parents to lifestyle cancers, some of which included alcohol consumption. And it was just something I never, ever could really get out of. And ever since I've gone the sober route and found the benefits of that, it's been really, really good for me. And that's really all I want to say about it because I know it could be a touchy subject. Maybe if I get a little further on down the road and I feel super passionate about it, but I've learned from being on YouTube that you don't really give unsolicited advice. I'm not telling people to go sober. I'm just saying that if you are on the fence about it and you're curious if it's going to keep you healthier and avoid injury, it definitely is going to avoid injury because it is a major part of that recovery process that happens when you sleep. And that's just something that I'm okay admitting now. I've been sober for a couple months now, and I don't know if I'll ever go back. I kind of just tell myself one day at a time. I'm going to try and stay sober today because it's best for my fitness. If I get my priority races out of the way and I want to have a cocktail to celebrate that after the fact, that might happen. I'm not quitting forever. But in this time where I'm focused on training and focused on my race calendar for 2023, it's just not going to fit in. If you are curious about that race calendar and the races I'm doing, please leave those down in the comments down below. I'll do a video about the races that I'm doing. I know I made a 50K training plan video and never really followed up on it, but I will start to make those videos as well. Garmin's coming up. I'm going to be making a review on that. And I've actually bought 2 more pair. I now have 4 of these not sponsored Injinji toe socks, which have helped my long runs and some of my feet issues as well. So I'm going to be reviewing these bad boys in the near future. Guys, thank you so much for your support. It's a small channel. I appreciate those that watch, comment, and like the video and all that fun stuff. And if you are new to the video, new to the channel, thanks for coming. Please let me know what your next race is down in the comments below. I'm looking all over the country. I want to try and travel this summer. I'm a school teacher. I want to get out to some races. So leave in the comments down below what races you're going to be doing this summer, and maybe I'll join you guys. I'll catch you on the next video.